With us, Mr. Nathaniel Perry and Mr. Rashad Robinson. Mr. Perry, before we had our first commercial break, we were talking about the internet. And what I'd like to do now is to follow up that conversation with what is known as the web page on the internet, or the website, or the home site, or the whole number of other terms that people generally use to describe this page. Let's talk about that. Let's have you and Mr. Robinson give us some information about the web page.
Okay. Well, a web page is actually a collection of information that you'd like to present to someone that's out there on the internet surfing. Whether it's just plain text, where you have a lot of information that's available for someone to read, or if it's something with pictures, or whether it's something with sound. You can actually display just about any kind of information that you want to on a web page. The key to it is how you design it and how you get it set up just right so that someone could actually take notice and would want to actually look at your information.
And so a web page is almost an advertisement in a real sense, whether it's a commercial advertisement, a public service advertisement, or whatever. It allows people to really have a view of exactly what you're doing.
Or it could be even personal as well. You know, you don't really have to have a business to actually put a web page onto the internet. It can be something that is actually personal to you, some personal advertisement about you, something that you can do that no one else can do, or it's something that you can do that you want everybody else to know that you can do. It doesn't matter whether it's personal or business.
Well, Mr. Robinson, how do you go about, if you so decide that you wanted to have a web page, how do you go about getting the web page that you have designed, whether it be personal, commercial, or whatever, onto the internet?
Okay, well, actually, there's two ways to do it. One, well, the main language that's used to make web pages is what's called HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And for those who have ever learned a computer language before, it's fairly simple to learn. I always have a joke when I talk about people who are webmasters. I say like half the webmasters I meet have music degrees, which is true because of what I've seen. You know, they learn HTML so quickly. And the main way they got into the internet was actually because you can actually have like computer files playing on your web page, etc. And that was the main introduction to the internet. But I say that merely to say that, you know, HTML, the computer language that's required, you know, to get a web page up, is fairly simple to learn. You can either learn it from scratch by reading, you know, basic ground level computer books such as, you know, the dummies books, the idiot books, or you can also take the approach of, you know, you can actually go to the internet and learn tutorials. Or the third way is you can also download the software such as, you know, Corel has a software editor. Well, not with the current version. Netscape has what's called a web editor, and what you can do, you can basically build a web page from the ground up. It's going to have some limitations. You may not be able to do things like put video in or sound in, you know, which you can do if you learn like HTML from the ground up. But what you can do, you still can put in like, you know, graphics, pictures, words, you know, that kind of thing.
And so, Mr. Perry, is the construction of a web page a very, very expensive proposition?
It's not really expensive. I think it was at first because no one actually knew what was going on. But now that, like you said, it's fairly simple. All it is plain text. And all you have to do is understand what the HTML tags are and where to actually put them and how to put them in there. We've actually developed a little company called Nebula Interactive Media, Multimedia, which will help people design web pages. We design them and actually throw in some JavaScripting, and which is something else that's part of a web page. And what we do is we design it, and actually it's based upon what kind of information and how much information that you have on your page would determine what kind of cost that you have. Because if it's real difficult with JavaScripting, then of course it's going to cost a little more.
But it gives you an opportunity to present whatever information you do have on the internet, and that is that's the only way that you can get onto the internet. Is that what we're saying? Is through a web page.
Through a web page. Well, the first step is, you know, to have your web page designed, whatever material you may have. Usually, like what Mr. Perry was saying, the basic material is pretty much easy: pictures and graphics, sound clips. Then also video clips are a little bit harder because you have to actually format those where if I'm taking like a sound off a compact disc and I record it, I have to have it in a special format. And then same thing with video. And then also sound clips and video tend to eat up a lot more memory versus just regular HTML. The second thing you look for is what's called a provider. And usually a lot of internet providers these days have space on their computer system where you can store your web page for the world to look at. And those are like the two main things. And then the third thing, this is what I usually suggest to people, is to have what's called a domain name, where you can have your name registered through a government agency called Internet. And basically what a domain name is, it's the name it's your web address on the internet. It can be like www.yourname.com.
And so now, what does the www stand for in terms of computer language, and what does that? How does that bring you in touch with the world?
Well, it actually stands for the World Wide Web. So think of it as a big interstate where interstates connect cities to city. These connect computers to computers. So you're actually connecting wherever that computer is. You're going over a greater distance. You can connect to somebody in Japan, or you can connect to someone in DC. It doesn't matter where they are, as long as they have the computer and the server, then you can connect to them.
Okay. And of course, when you talk about designing a web page, we've already indicated that it can be expensive depending on exactly what you wish to put into it.
Right.
But now, I also understand that once you construct a web page and design one, that you have to be able to maintain that web page. And what we'd like to do, we've got about a minute coming up before our second commercial break. But what we'd like to do when we come back is to talk about the design of these web pages and how they are maintained on the internet. We've got about 45, 50 seconds before we have our first commercial break here. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the construction of a web page?
Okay, that's just fairly simple. The language itself, HTML, is not that hard to learn. Then also, once you get advanced at it, you can also add other things in, like what Mr. Perry was saying, such as JavaScript. You can also try things such as GIF animation, where you can have animated graphics on your page. And then also another area that's it's a little bit down the road. It's called VRML, Virtual Reality Markup Language. You can actually have 3D objects inside of your page.
And all of those things is possible to present to the world at a relatively inexpensive price, in a real sense, in terms of the number of people you would allow to be exposed to it. And of course, we'll be back with you following this.